when you write, you are going on a journey. Everybody who reads gets to take the journey in their own way, but a writer is also going on a journey, and a writer, not only do your characters change at the end of your novel, but you yourself change at the end of the novel. And if you're unwilling to make that change, then the book's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be like, oh yes, this person started out as a cook. This person ended up as a cook. This person started out as a cook at McDonald's. This person ended up as a cook at McDonald's. Nothing has changed because the author wasn't willing to change. Anyway, one other really great way, a couple of really great ways, so I'm going to do some plugs real quick. If you write science fiction or fantasy, consider writing short stories. Short stories are an awful lot harder than novels because they require you to do almost everything you have to do with a novel, but in a much smaller space. So you can only tell small kind of stories. But if you want an example of good small stories, you can go pick up Anne McCaffrey and read the first short story of The Ship Who Sang, which is called The Ship Who Sang. That was a short story. Did pretty nicely. Harder to find now, but Daniel Keyes' Flowers for Algernon started off as actually a novelette.
That's required reading in school here.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And things like The Smallest Dragon Boy. So short stories are very interesting in getting craft. The sad thing, or the hard thing with a short story, is you have to go through the same trouble of building up your world. And we'll talk about that real quick because we've got a little nice side point on it. But you have to spend as much effort building up your world in a short story as you do in a novel. The trick most people do, like certain Anne McCaffreys we know, is they build this great world and then they write another short story in this great world. That's exactly what the whole Crystal Singer series was, a bunch of actually novelettes, novellas. The Tower and the Hive series started out as a bunch of short stories that got expanded. So she's done this a lot. For that matter, Dragonflight itself starts off with a novelette called A Weir Search, and then went on from there. So it's a great way to learn. And interestingly enough, there's a competition for people who are interested in it called the L. Ron Hubbard Writers of the Future Award. I know about this because one of the judges happens to be a certain Anne McCaffrey. And there are other great science fiction like Larry Nevin, Jerry Pournelle. There's a whole bunch of science fiction and fantasy people who are judging this, Robert Silverberg. So it's a really legitimate thing. Easiest way to find out about it is to go, you'll find it in the bookstore here probably, one of the get the latest L. Ron Hubbard and Writers of the Future anthology, read the stories in that, and do the famous thing that we all us writers love to hear, which is, I can write better than that. Do it, win an award, go on and become a famous science fiction or fantasy writer, or whichever. There are other similar things for romance and everything else. I don't read that much romance, but where are we stacking Diana Gabaldon nowadays?
She ends up in all places.
I know. Has anybody read? How many people haven't read Outlander? Oh, you might consider it. Huge, thick, beautiful book.
It's great.
It is more of a romance than anything, but it's kind of historical fiction. It's got a little science fictional twist in it because our heroine travels from 1945 to 1743 or something like that. She was a nurse. World War II's just over. She's English. She goes back in time and becomes an Outlander, a Sassenach in Highland Scotland. You've read it, yeah? Okay. It's a beautiful, beautiful book, and it goes on. And she's a great writer. Anyway, so as a writer, you tend to read everywhere after a while. So that's that particular thing. I'm sorry, in case you haven't noticed this, off on tangents. That's what we do.